Never a dull moment in the NBA, never a dull moment with Logan. We are joined once again for a NBA League Pass tier. Logan, we'll start off at the bottom of the barrel, our F tier. Give us the two teams you have down there.
Yeah. Oh, dude, I'm blowing this. I'm sorry. Holy
I
crap.
got you. I got you. We have, for those
There it
that
is.
don't know, in the
India.
F tier, we have the Pacers and Kings. Sorry to steal your thunder, but
No, it's my fault. I clicked on the wrong email. Um, yeah, Indiana and Sacramento and F. Simply, Indiana is just too many injuries have happened. I don't really care to see a starting lineup of Siakam at the five with Robinson, Earl, and Tony Bradley. I don't really just. It's not fun to watch. They've been getting blown out anyway. I would only be watching them if I was fading them on a bet, which I have done, but I can't say I enjoyed watching the game except for the part that my bet was hitting. And then for Sacramento, it's just they're kind of a dumpster fire right now. They were fun earlier when they were more competitive and scoring a lot of points, but they've been getting blown out lately, and I just haven't really found myself watching them as much. They've also had a few like injuries that come up. Like one game they don't have Sabonis, and another game they don't have Levine. It's just they're not like fully healthy either. It's just not fun times to be watching the Sacramento Kings.
yeah, I think obviously the Pacers fans got to enjoy quite the run in the playoffs, obviously with the injury to Halliburton. They knew this season wasn't going to be the same. I do like some of their young pieces. Obviously, I've been a huge fan of McConnell. I think Nemhart, he's going to be a key piece with Halliburton for the next foreseeable future. And then with the Sacramento Kings, I can't wait to do our young core rankings in a couple weeks because the Sacramento Kings really have nobody under the age of 25 that's notable. Obviously, they had and drafted a lot of point guards. They had Halliburton. For those that don't know, he was drafted by the Sacramento Kings. They also had De'Aaron Fox. They had all these point guards, and they seemingly ended up with none of them. And it's a tough day and tough time for those Sacramento Kings fans. Moving on to the next tier, in the D tier, you have six teams. Who do you want to start off with?
We can just go in order, and I'll preface on this tier list. It's not really in order except for the S tier. That's like the only one that's relatively in order, with Bulls being number one. But as for the Wolves, Anthony Edwards missed a couple of weeks, so I wasn't really watching them as much. Julius Randle has been playing really good though, so that's something that is kind of fun to watch. I've more been looking at his highlights rather than watching their games. I still haven't really gotten around to enjoying their games as much. The Knicks, they're dealing with injuries right now, but it does kind of open the door for some guys that can step up, like McBride and Clarkson. Clarkson had a really big game in their last outing. Clippers, Kawhi's hurt. And as much as I love James Harden, I really struggle watching this team outside of him. It's just hard to watch. They don't really have much scoring talent outside of him, and you have to hope that Zubac has a really big game. As for Dallas, I mean, talk about injuries, they're still injured too, and their offense is just god awful. They have had a couple of overtime thrillers in the past week, so that has been cool to watch. But all in all, I still have them as a D. I'm not really turning them on as much. The Wizards, this is a pretty big demotion from where I had them earlier. They're just god awful, like Indiana. They're getting blown out in games. Unless I really find myself interested in watching young guys play, then maybe I'll turn them on. But the thing is, they're not even really playing the young guys. They're still giving all these minutes to Middleton and McCollum, rightfully so, because that's how you start. That's how you treat this at the start of a season with veterans and young guys. I think later in the season, I'm going to move the Wizards back up once they're playing their young guys and you can see some talent. And then for New Orleans, that's also a demotion for them. I do like watching Fears. But outside of that, it's just you wish the team could click, but they're not really clicking. Derek Queen has been fun to watch, though. He's more of a highlight guy, like that I'll look up on YouTube rather than watching the actual in-game play, just because there's so many other teams we're going to get to that I would rather watch more than this team.
Yeah, I definitely wanted to mention Derek Queen. I think obviously the Pelicans getting rid of a first round pick for him in the 2026 draft in this loaded draft. I mean, it's Not a great day to be a Pelicans fan when that trade happened, but I do like the promise that Queen has showed. Just to kind of hit on a couple of those teams that you did mention, the Clippers, I think Norm Powell not being a Los Angeles Clipper is devastating for that franchise. And obviously, in 2019, if you were to tell me that one of the teams in Los Angeles would win a title in the next 6 years, I probably would have bet on the Lakers, but the Clippers with Paul George and Kawhi, everybody expected them to at least make more than one Western Conference final. It's very, very disappointing. I sent you a clip earlier of just the Kawhi Leonard trajectory, like his Spurs, he's a young gun, wins the Finals MVP, and then he goes to Toronto, 1 year rental, wins the chip, and then the Clippers pretty much give Oklahoma City this title with SGA, that huge trade. People didn't think SGA was as good as he was. I always loved his play, but obviously nobody thought he was going to turn into the best player. We'll get to that when we get to Oklahoma City. I'm sure further on the tier list, some of you guys will probably know where they're at. Moving on to the C tier, you have 6 teams as well. Start us off with the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Yeah, the Cavs. I think this is just a taste for me. I can understand if someone finds them really exciting to watch. They have high scoring games and they're pretty good defensively sometimes. They've had young guys stepping up. For example, I'd like to highlight Jalen Tyson. He's been playing very well. He had been until he got in concussion protocol. He's missed the last 3 games and he's missing today's game, which is a bummer. But aside from that, they're clicking. Garland's back, but then he kind of has another toe injury again. But you still have Mobley, you still have Jared Allen. They did play a game in Miami about 3 nights ago, 4 nights ago, where they were pretty much missing everyone. They sat Mitchell for rest. They had no Mobley. They had no just no. I don't think they had Hunter either. But aside from the point, it was a big get up game in Miami. They were probably 7 point underdogs and they won outright. It was awesome. Jared Allen had 30 points and but like I said, it's probably just a taste thing for me. Memphis, honestly, dude, I can't give you much on Memphis because I can't watch them here in Columbia. It's so frustrating with the local blackouts. If I was in Kansas City, then I could watch them, but I couldn't watch Oklahoma City. It's just so weird how if I'm in Kansas City, I can't watch Oklahoma City, but when I'm in Columbia, I can't watch Memphis.
You're
As
not
for
missing
Memphis,
much, I'll tell you that.
yeah, as all in all though, like I'm probably not missing out on much, like you said, because Morant has just been horrible. And now he's hurt. So maybe they might be watchable now. Vince Williams, kind of a
Ewing
guy to
theory
watch.
potential for sure.
Oh yeah. And then moving on to San Antonio. This is pure bias from me, I'll be honest. I love all these NBA teams, but if I had to choose one that I don't like, it's the Spurs. And I think it's just because like growing up, in the 2010s, they were really good and I didn't like them. And I think the hatred is kind of boiled over. And maybe because they're rivals with the Rockets too, but I'm not really from Houston, so I don't really care about that. But Wimby, of course, is magnificent to watch. He torched the Bulls, I think, 4 games ago, and I was watching that one, of course, so that stung. And Fox is back, so that's cool. But now Castle just got hurt, so if you're into De'Aaron Fox, this is now your time to watch. As for Philly, I have them, I think, upgraded a tier from last time. Maxey is electric. He is awesome. Embiid is sporadically playing. Paul George is actually debuting tonight, so I'll probably be tuning into that. They're playing the Clippers of all teams, so that's exciting in Philadelphia. And Edgecombe, of course, is awesome. Oubre just got hurt, so that kind of sucks. He was kind of their energy wing guy. He was guarding all of the other team's best wing players. So that kind of bites, but they do get Paul George back today. So we'll see how that goes for them as far as watchability goes. Golden State, honestly, like they're fun to watch. I've been betting a ton on Quinton Post threes, but then Coach Kerr said he was going to change up the starting lineups, and he did. He benched Kaminga, and then Kaminga got hurt. He put Moody in the starting lineup, and Moody's been really, really good. But all in all, it's probably just me not really clicking on them that much, just because I kind of like watching other teams more. And for the Magic, Paolo just got hurt, and Franz Wagner is really fun to watch. but I just don't really turn them on too often. They had been high scoring early in the season, so that was fun to watch, but it's kind of tailed off a little bit. Although they did have an overtime thriller last night with the Rockets, and that was really fun to watch. Tristan da Silva is a name to watch. With Palo out, watch for da Silva to essentially his stock's going to rise, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, De Silva in our future young core rankings. I was kind of working on it before this show, and De Silva is one of the guys that I mentioned in that Orlando trio. Now a quartet with De Silva added into that. Obviously, Suggs, Bankero, and Wagner. I've always liked him out of Colorado. He definitely caused some issues when Arizona would play Colorado, so he's definitely a player to look out for. Some other teams I definitely wanted to give a note on. I think the trajectory of Ja Morant and Zion Williamson's NBA career is fascinating. Obviously, going 1 and 2 in that 2019 draft. Just how both of them have dealt with kind of off the court issues, obviously injuries as well on the court, but it's just so strange how them being in the same draft class, they've kind of dealt with similar problems. The talent is there, it's not even a question, but obviously now John Moran is at a crossroads and it'll be interesting to see what happens. That contract is not ideally something that can be traded easily. Spurs, I think they would be an S tier if it was just one-on-one and we saw Wemby every night, but obviously the pieces coming together bring them down. The Sixers, like you mentioned, fascinating young core group in Philadelphia with I think Grimes is a huge pickup for Philly. I have liked Grimes since I believe he went to Houston in college, and I really liked his game. Obviously, on the Knicks, he was more of a role player. I've always really liked his game, though. Bigger guards that can shoot, those 6'5", 6'6" guys. If you can shoot over 40%, I want you on my team, no matter your height, anything. I think he's going to be a stud there in Philadelphia. He looked absolutely crisp in those the black uniforms. I absolutely love those Philadelphia uniforms. The Warriors, I really think it's a Steph Curry, Steve Kerr effect. And what I mean by that is Moses Moody has a career high 8 3-pointers made the other night. We're recording this on Monday, November 17th. Jordan Poole, a couple seasons ago, played his best ball with the Warriors when they won the title in 2022. And that's kind of an effect that Curry has. The ball's always rotating. Draymond Green is pretty much going to be a Hall of Famer, mostly due to Curry. Obviously, Draymond Green is talented. One of the best defensive big mans of all time, even though he's only like 6'7", 6'8". I think it's just a Steph Curry effect. Buddy Hield has kind of rejuvenated his career in terms that he was a great player, like in the Kings in terms of shooting, New Orleans, but I think he's really found a home with the Warriors. We'll have to see what happens in the stacked Western Conference. I mean, the top 4 or 5 teams in the West, it's ridiculous. We'll get to it as we get to the higher echelon with Thunder, Nuggets, Rockets, looking like the top 3 teams, not just in the West, but in the whole NBA. That's kind of my talk on the C tier. Now we move on to the B tier with my Boston Celtics. I can't wait to hear your thoughts on this young and hungry Celtic squad.
Yeah, it's been fun to watch since we last talked. They've had some close games and then they've had some blowouts. But whenever the Celtics are blowing teams out, it's really fun to watch because they are shooting a bunch of threes. They're kind of getting to the rim with all that space. And then you can see the young guys. Luca Garza's been playing really well lately. And then Minot has been stepping up. Jordan Walsh has got into the starting lineup. It's been fun. And then you got Simon's flamethrower off the bench. Pritchard doing what he does with the usage that he has now in the starting lineup. Boston's been really fun, and I think this is where I had them around, and they've met my expectations and slightly exceeded them. As for the Nets, I think it's just me being a sicko, and I just love watching this group. I think they play really hard, even though it doesn't really result in too many wins. But I like Claxton a lot. I like Clowney. I like Porter. I really like that length that they have in that starting lineup. And then no Cam Thomas really makes them kind of fun to watch again. Even though Cam Thomas is fun to watch as like a highlights on YouTube kind of guy, when you're actually watching a game flow, it's pretty fun with Terrence Mann out there. Tyrese Martin off the bench has been playing well, and they're making it work with the rookies. Yegor Doman's been playing pretty well. They got Drake Powell coming off the bench, giving them minutes, but I like watching them grind it out. As for the Jazz, Jazz at home is just peak. They're pretty bad on the road. They're actually pretty abysmal on the road, except in Boston 2 weeks ago. They beat your team in Boston on that Nurkic game winner. Sorry, but
I'm
uh,
taking for AJ. That's all I care about, honestly.
yeah. Um, but the Jazz are really fun to watch. They had a double overtime thriller last night in Chicago. The total points scored 297. I believe that's the record so far for this season. It was so fun to watch. Ace Bailey's been in the starting lineup and he's finally coming into it on his own. Isaiah Collier got healthy and they're finally giving him minutes. He's been a guy that I've been betting on for PRA overs. He's been cashing. He's been good. I love the way he can attack and kick out. And then, of course, Markkanen is just so good. It sucks that Walker Kessler got hurt for the year, but Nurkic at center, who knew he was such a good passer? He didn't really show much of it in his past, but ever since I got to give him some credit, ever since his fatal leg injury about 5 seasons ago, I don't know why I said fatal, but 6 years ago, he like destroyed his leg. And then there was kind of a worry where it's like he might be done. He probably can't move anymore. But he's really developed as like an offensive hub, and it's been fun to watch because I like those kind of guys and an offensive scheme. Lakers, this is a promotion for them. I've really enjoyed watching Luca and Reeves go at it together. Smart's been so good. I kind of shat on him in our over unders episode, but he's been really good. He's been like their starting small forward, and it's still the gamble with him when he takes a three, but he is hustling. He's making plays. He's getting rebounds. He's just doing all the dirty work, and I'm sure JJ Redick loves it. Hachimura is having a career year so far, in points and shooting. And Aiton's been Aiton. He has big games, and then he'll have a game where he's just all right. But I think Redick's been coaching him well. Laravia too, off the bench, has been pretty fun. That was a really good signing for them. Detroit, I believe, is on a 9-game win streak. Um, and they've been doing this with injured people. It's crazy. Like one game they were missing Duran, and then they're like, all right, now Thompson's hurt. All right, now Cade's hurt. They're just like they're playing a game of how many guys can we keep rolling out and how many games can we keep on winning with that. And they've been really fun to watch. I will say they have burned me on bets because I faded them their last 2 games or so, and they won outright. So good for them. Shame on me. I should have recognized that it was a pretty good get up spot for them, especially when they're playing at home. And then Miami, I had them. I think I had them in D when we did this at the start of the year, but they've been playing really fast. And Norman Powell, you mentioned earlier, not being on the Clippers, him on the Heat is giving them so much scoring punch. Jaime Jaquez has been a machine off the bench. Last year he had the sophomore slump, and you see that a lot in players sophomore slumps. But I think a lot of people kind of wrote him off. He's
I
been,
thought he was kind of a one-hit wonder rookie year.
yeah, he's been magnificent. He's been flirting with triple doubles. He's been playing a bunch of minutes. Ware's been good. Adebayo's hurt for now, but they've still been playing well without him. Davion Mitchell, of course, is a bulldog on defense. That's always fun to watch. But that's all I got on my B tier list. If you want to go,
This is probably my favorite tier out of all of them. I think with three major or two major things and then one little comment about the last two teams. But first off, Boston. We got to talk about them for a little bit because Boston is shooting 34% from three, which is in the bottom third of the NBA, and they're doing shooting the second most three-point attempts per game. I think 44 and a half they're shooting. They have a 4.6 point differential, which is fourth in the East, although they are 10th right now. If it were to be the play-in, they'd barely make it. Now, I did have something that I wanted to throw at you. I've had it in my notes for probably about a week or two. It's a late night thought, so take with that what you will. It's Rami late at night thinking about things, and I think LeBron James can do the funniest thing right now. I think he's coming back soon with the
oh
Lakers.
well, hold on. Let me cut you off because I just got a notification 2 minutes ago that he fully practiced today and he is to be determined for tomorrow's game.
Okay, LeBron. You are all about legacy. And the player that they compare you to all the time, Michael Jordan, of course. What does Michael Jordan have that LeBron does not have?
Um,
Other than NBA championships.
what
He
does he
has
have
a
right now?
college championship ring. Now, LeBron's son
Hmm.
Bryce is at the University of Arizona. And Tommy Lloyd said recently, coach of the Wildcats, that Bryce James he could potentially redshirt this season. Now, LeBron, if this is Luka's team and you could be on the side and do a Karl Malone-esque performance, be just a bruiser, power forward-esque player, you could do that. I don't think the Lakers are going to win the title. I don't think they're good enough. I think it's either going to be Houston, Denver, or Oklahoma City that are going to win the title this year. And LeBron, you're almost getting into your mid 40s. Now you could, if you really wanted to shake things up, you could go to college. You haven't gone to college yet. You could enroll next spring, even maybe next fall, go to the University of Arizona, join your son Bryce, and win a title. And show everybody that you're gonna dominate the college ranks. Now, is this just crazy, or am I just wanting him to be a Wildcat for my own personal reasons?
It's crazy, and I think you want him to be a Wildcat for personal reasons. I don't even think this is legal. Isn't there an age limit?
I think anybody can go to college, right?
Anyone can go to college, but I think there's no way he can play on the basketball team.
I think he could. That would be because I think they're allowing like professional players to play because of NIL now. I could be crazy. This could be like absurd, but that's just something I wanted to throw at you.
Well, how would it affect the GOAT conversation?
Well, if he were to win the title with a bunch of 18, 19-year-olds in college and then just go back to the NBA, like do a little flip-flop and then try to win something, that would be, I don't know, that's
I'll,
just me thinking, but
I'll tell you what, they would be a pretty good marketing campaign because everyone would watch Arizona games. They would probably win the title because he's so good. I mean, it would be a grand time to be an Arizona Wildcat fan. So,
Tucson would burn to the ground if we got LeBron and his son. I mean, he's already going to go to the games courtside and do all that stuff, which is good for diversity, but
you know how many nationally televised Arizona games would be? There'd be so many.
I
It would
mean,
be
if
it would be so
ESPN
cool.
wants to make the money that they lost with YouTube TV, we'll have to see what happens. But on the Rombough show, we're throwing shit at a wall, seeing what sticks, see what Logan likes. Ahame Jaquez, I definitely wanted to shout out to him. The Pistons, Jalen Duren is just built like a linebacker mixed with a tight end in a 6'10" body. He's an absolute beast. A tier. We're starting out with your Houston Rockets. I love what I've seen from them. I absolutely love what Reed Shepard's doing.
Oh yeah,
Give
well
it
yeah,
to you.
I'll start with Reed. I've bet on him 3 times in a row now on his points over, and they've cashed. Um, Especially with Tyree Eason just got hurt, and he's going to be out for about a month. The Rockets went to an 8-man rotation last night against the Magic, and it was just awesome to watch. I love when teams condense their rotations, and it's just like, what can I get out of these 8 guys? Anyways, Reed Shepard stepped up, and he's really delivered. It was kind of you can call it a shaky start at the start of this season, but like it was still kind of like his rookie year having real rotation minutes, and he's really settled in. He's confident. The players love him. Kevin Durant just like posted a random like image of Reed Shepard on his story like a few days ago. Just no context, just a picture of Reed. So I think the team believes in him. They're encouraging him to shoot. He is hucking them up too. Um, he's been great to watch. The Rockets overall, their offense has been so good because they attack the paint so well with their size, and then they're kicking out really to either Jabari Smith, Kevin Durant, or Reed Shepard to shoot a three. Okoji's been playing well. That was a late off season signing that ended up being really well because he's been starting for them. He's been starting out there with Amon Thompson, who's also been so good. The defense has been so fun to watch. I can't believe Steven Adams still produces the way he does. Um, he's been in this league for probably like 12 or 13 years now, but he's still a monster. And then Clint Capella has not really been playing, but whenever he does play, he's so effective. I'm sure he's one of like the best like per 36 guys out there. If you looked, I would have to guess on it, but they've been great to watch. I hate that I locked their under on our show, but that I hope that's my only loss. It's looking like it. But for Charlotte, moving on to Charlotte, I like watching them. Of course, it's kind of the broadcast team that makes them so fun to watch. They're always instant. I'm going to put on their broadcast when I'm watching a game, but they play fast. Colin Kneppel has been so good, and he's been so fun to watch. He tries so hard. He competes. He's shooting well. He had a really late. It was that game we talked about, the Milwaukee Charlotte overtime game. He had a late dunk at the end of regulation. I was like, I didn't even know he had that, and he did it. He's just been so good. And LaMelo's actually healthy. There was kind of a scare that his injury was going to be longer term, but he's came back and he's been well. The center rotation of Kalkbrenner and Diabate has been showing up well. As for Milwaukee, there's nothing much to say about him except for Giannis. It's just so fun to watch when he has all this space. And Ryan Rollins, second best player in the Bucks. I love it. I love
Jersey
it because
incoming for Logan.
potentially, yeah, that is one of my options I'm looking at. But he's been so good. He's so shifty, and he has all the confidence, and that's what you need. As for Portland, I like watching Denny. He kind of, I kind of play like him whenever I'm playing here at the rec, just like a downhill guy trying to get downhill, making a pass. And then I like watching this team play defensively. It kind of sucks. They got a little thin on their bench due to injury. Blake Wesley, who had been playing well, is out, and Matisse Thybulle is out too. So they've had Caleb Love stepping up a little bit. He's been playing some
U
minutes.
of A,
I don't know
baby.
if yeah, I don't know if you've caught any of that, but he's been playing some bench minutes for them because they have to. Um, but they've been fun to watch. Klingen's really good to watch. Kamara is awesome. Defensively, like I said, I like watching them play, and they're playing fast too. Coach Splitter has them playing fast, and I love
Thiago?
watching fast teams. Yeah, Diago.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, he took over for Chauncey. um, and then Toronto, they also play fast. They're lengthy, and their broadcast team is awesome. I like watching them at home. They're kind of like the Jazz, where they're better to watch at home. But I like their players. I like watching them make it work. And then for Phoenix, they have been playing so well. I think they were on a 7 game win streak, and that came to an end last night with a loss to the Hawks. They actually let the Hawks back into a game. The Hawks scored like 45 points in the fourth quarter to come back and win last night in Phoenix. But Phoenix has been very fun to watch. They were one of my, I don't know, I don't remember if I locked their over. I might have, but either way, I still bet on their over. Booker's been amazing. Brooks has been very good. They have their center rotation's been stepping up with Williams, Richards, and Oso Igudoro. And then Ryan Dunn's been playing well forward off the bench. Royce O'Neal's been playing well too. And then how about Grayson Allen and Gillespie? Just two white shooters who attack the rim and create space. They've been amazing. This team is so fun to watch. I like watching Phoenix. I'm curious how you feel about Phoenix.
I I like what I've seen. I think this is giving me flashbacks to early Devin Booker on the Suns, where he was kind of just doing everything, playing point guard even at times. And I mean, Grayson Allen's been revived, it feels like. I mean, he had some spurts in Milwaukee where he had some big moments, but I think he's really found a home in Phoenix. I think they are such a passionate fan base that has been really heartbroken year after year. When we were talking about the Spurs and your hatred for them, I've had a hatred for the Spurs since Steve Nash got thrown into that scorers table, and they had the Boris Diaw and one of the other guys got suspended for just stepping up off the bench when your star point guard gets thrown into a I could do a rant about it forever, but I've absolutely hated the Spurs forever. Obviously, Wemby, it's hard to hate him because he's an absolute alien, but I think the Suns, for considering all that Matt Ishbia has done to that franchise since taking over, I think they're doing as well as they can with the pieces that they do, considering that the draft capital is very minimal in Phoenix and the Durant and Beal experiment kind of really blew up in their face. So they're doing as good as they can in Phoenix. I did want to mention before we get into the last final four of the NBA in the S tier, Houston. I think they are sneaking into that top two with the Nuggets and Thunder, not just in the West, but for those title odds. I think they're hungry. I really love what I've seen from Reed Shepherd shooting 53% the last 5 games from three is absolutely ridiculous. I think we're entering the potential apex mountain for white guys playing the guard position with Con Knipple and Reed Shepherd leading the all-white all-star team. We'll have to make a little
I love it.
impromptu all-white team maybe in a little bit, but that could
Would we get canceled if we made an all NBA white team?
maybe if we were a little larger audience, but I think if it could maybe bring in a couple members. We'll have to
Yeah.
maybe just say allegedly, maybe at the beginning or end of it, but we'll have to let us know in the comments if you want us to do a all-white all-star team in the NBA. I think we got some absolute I think we could do good. We could probably be a 40-win team with our guys, but
Mhm.
anyways, we have the final roughly 7 minutes with these top four teams. Now we have your guy, Josh Giddey, is in the top five MVP discussion, maybe even the top three. What do you think about that, leading us off with the Chicago Bulls in the S tier?
Top five MVP is, I guess, crazy, but I'm here for it. He's been so good. He had 26, 13, and 13 last night. Granted, they lost to the Jazz at home, but the Jazz at home are feisty. I do want to point out though, before I forget, you were talking about how the Rockets are getting up there for contenders. This Friday, Nuggets at Rockets. That is S tier watchability. So be on the lookout for that game on Friday. It's an in-season cup game. Should be cinema. But to continue with the Bulls, they Kobe White came back last night on limited minutes. They're finally almost healthy because Trey Jones missed last night and Dasumu still has a nagging injury, but they are still so fun to watch. They play so fast. Their offense is amazing. Defensively, they have some lapses, but sometimes they get it together. It's really just for me, it's just like how quick they play and how Giddy gets this team running in transition. Uh, they just play so well, and they're so deep on their bench too. Jalen Smith, their backup center, I feel like I haven't seen him miss a three. Anytime I look up and I see him shoot, I feel like it always goes in. Not to mention Zach Collins still hasn't even played yet. He's still hurt. That's just another like backup center who can kind of defend and kind of can shoot too. Once they are fully healthy, I think they're going to get back in stride because they went on a 4 game losing streak. Um, I think it might be 5 right now or 4. They play again in Denver tonight, so it's probably going to be another loss. Um, but I guess I'll segue that into Denver. I'll get to Atlanta because I know they're in that. But Chicago, Denver play tonight. That is just S plus tier watchability. I will be sat down for that one. Denver is 14.5 point underdogs. I already bet on Chicago because I think that's a crazy
Favorite.
line. I know Chicago's back to back coming from Utah to Denver, but like 15 points. Come on. Anyways, Denver, Jokic, best team they've had. It's just so fun to watch. Tim Hardaway is flame throwing from three. Jamal Murray's been good. Aaron Gordon's been good. Braun is hurt, so that kind of sucks. But they have other guys that step up. Peyton Watson played the second most minutes the other night when they played Minnesota, and he held Anthony Edwards. Anthony Edwards still had 28 points, but he was super inefficient. He was like 0 for 8 from three, if I remember correctly, maybe 8 for 23 from the field. But they just have a lot of guys. They're finally deep on the bench, and that makes them so fun to watch. As for Atlanta, Trae Young's been out for I think 8 games now, and it's kind of made them more watchable because they are also a deep team, in my opinion. They have one of my favorite players in the league. His name is Vit Krejci. He's been in the league since I think he was drafted in 2020, kind of bounced around a bit, and he finally has found a home in Atlanta for the last 3 seasons or so. But anyways, they are overall without Trey, they are just a very big, versatile team. Okongwu has been a monster. He had 8 threes the other night. And Jalen Johnson too. Holy crap. He almost had a quadruple double, I think like 4 nights ago. He had he had triple double with normal stats, and then he had 8 steals. Um, but he's been so fun to watch. And then lastly, OKC, not much to say. They're just so good. And I'll leave it at that. I'll give you some time.
Hmm. I need some time. I need to talk about Trey Young because we're at a bit of a crossroads with him and Ja Morant are kind of on the same street. Ja Morant has a little bit more violence around his street with, the IG Live and stuff like that. But Trey Young, I think I would much rather like to have him on my team, but he cannot be the heliocentric guy that he's been. Like Luka Doncic, obviously, mentioning that just because they were traded for each other, which I'll never forget that draft when the Suns could have had Doncic and Booker, but Ishbia, man. I think Trey Young would be beneficial to a team that he is the complementary part. Like him on the Warriors in a kind of Steph Curry backup role. I know his contract's just out of control right now, but I think if he were to take a pay cut, something like that would be really fun. I think the Thunder, a dynasty is almost guaranteed because they could have two top 10 picks in this upcoming 2026 NBA draft with the Clippers unprotected pick and the Jazz top 8 protected pick. And I just think if Oklahoma City gets a top 5 pick in this draft, you can pretty much if unless you're a Nuggets fan or maybe even a Celtics fan, which I am, but obviously we'll have to see what happens when Tatum comes back. You're going to be scared. If you're any other fan in the NBA and you don't have Nikola Jokic on your team, or even Reed Shepherd, Kevin Durant, if you're a Rockets fan, you got to be really scared because this Thunder's team, without J-Dub, their second best player, is sitting at a 13-1 record, and they easily could be 14-0. That one loss, they kind of blew it. I forget who they
Yeah.
lost to, but they absolutely blew it.
Portland.
And yeah, Portland. They are 13 to 1 odds last time I checked on FanDuel to break Golden State's record. And when they get J-Dub back and any of those guys, those top four in this 2026 NBA draft, Boozer, Dibatsa, um, any of the other guys,
Peterson.
Peterson, obviously, if he was on the Thunder, I mean that's dangerous because SGA would teach him so many things. So it's just a I like a lot of these guys in this draft, and if any of them like were to get their hands on, I know they took a couple chances in the draft, like with Poku and a couple of those guys, but they've hit like AJ Mitchell. He's a stud, and Oklahoma City is just going to get scary. Your closing thoughts on our League Pass Part Two tiered list?
Yeah, I mean, this league is just amazing. It never fails. I love it so much. We've had a very exciting last 7 days. We had 2 overtime games a week ago. We had an overtime and a double overtime 2 nights ago, and then last night we had 2 overtime games and a double overtime game. Scoring has been so high. I love seeing it. This league is just so deep. It's so talented. I can't get enough of it, and I'm glad that you and I get to talk about it. And I feel like we have so much to talk about, and we have so many options of things we can do with it.
Before we wrap up, I am taking the give me NBA Cup pick. I think I want to take Houston. I think Reed Shepard's
Yeah,
going to go off.
no, that I think Houston's a good pick. I watch for OKC just because they're so good. Yeah, Houston, OKC. Trying to think of an East team that I'd like to give. Maybe I don't know. Maybe Cleveland. Maybe Detroit.